What's up, viewers, subscribers, and agents alike? It's your boy, Luciferian Prince, coming at y'all once again. I want to expound upon this series because, I'm kind of caught in it, you know what I mean? And I love the topic of discussion in regards to what we deal with on a quote-unquote day-to-day basis of the historical presidents that we're unawares of in certain channels in certain respects, and to basically keep progressing in this series because I want more people to know, more historical in-depth approach to what this is that we're really dealing with. Now, George G.M. James, PhD, University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, is the actual author of this book. All rights reserved to the author, and unfortunately he was murdered for writing a series of works that expounded upon and enlightened people to the corruption and basically the central manipulation of a system in which we are all familiar with, but at the same time, we don't understand the historical precedents that actually take place within regards to this construct we call United States, also known as the New Rome. So shout out to him for, putting this out there. Brother made an ultimate sacrifice, but sometimes that's necessary if you want to inform people properly on how to actually go about their day-to-day affairs. Now, I know it might piss off a lot of individuals because there's nothing done in the dark that won't come to light. But the problem with this system is that they don't want things to come to light. They want people to stay in the dark. So my job as the light bearer is to keep you informed and healthily informed and properly informed, and to make sure that, you get your daily due. But before I proceed, shout out to Supreme Third Eye, that's for peoples. Shout out to Mentellect. Shout out to Queen Nefertari. Shout out to Alkebulin 666. Shout out to all these people that y'all know me in my personal spirit, because y'all give me the actual recognition that I'm not in this battle alone. Even though, we may speak in different tones, we may speak in different variances about, opinions, whatever the case may be, we're not enemies. And as we all realize this, and we also realize that we're doing something better for the world by informing people, enlightening people. So lets me know that, most days go on, I'm not by myself. So without further ado, let's piss some people off, which is what I'm very good at doing. Check this out. The leagues. That's where I left off, apart from my last video. Apart from the resistance of a common foe, the Persians, a study of the function of the leagues, reveals enmity and spirit of aggression, which were characteristic of the relationship which existed between the Greek city-states themselves. Accordingly, in 505 BC, the Peloponnesian states signed treaties amongst themselves, pledging warfare against Sparta, who had absorbed them under her influence. Meanwhile, Aristogoras revived the Ionian League 499 through 494 BC to resist Persian aggression, and friendship between Athens and Aegina was restored by the Hellenic League 481 BC, which was afterwards converted into the Confederacy of Delos. There's that word again. 478 BC. As mentioned elsewhere, in a like manner, Thebes also fell in line with the general temper of the age, organized by the Biotonian League, a federation of city-states for self-protection and aggression. Source: Sanford's Mediterranean World, c. 9, page 150, chapter 12, and page 202. In 377 BC, a second Athenian confederacy was organized, but this was to frustrate the aims of the Lacedaemonians and to compel them to respect and the right of the Athenians and their allies. Sanford's Mediterranean World, c. 15, page 260. Likewise, in 290 BC, the Aetolian League, made up of the states of central Greece, gained control of Delphi and frequently violated Achaean rights in the Peloponnese, while in 225 BC, Antigonus, Doson, organized another Hellenic League with the purpose of obstructing the ambitions of Sparta under her Aetolian allies. Send First Mediterranean World, page 317 and 319. W.H. Couch's History of Greece, page 206 and 209. Chapter 11. Botsford and Robinson's Hellenistic History, page 115 through 121. 127 and through 142. T.B. Bury's History of Greece, page 216 and 229. 240 through 241, 259 to 269. The Tutorial of History by Greece by W.J. Woodhouse, chapter 18, 20, and 21. Now, this is important because this is what we have to realize, that after Alexander the Greek came and invaded the territories that we are now known today, has been totally distorted and totally, screwed the minds of people to call it ancient Egypt, which is ancient Chem. That was the period of what we call the Hellenistic period. This is the period, whenever you hear it in the historical references, period when things just got turned the fuck upside down. And pardon my language if you're watching this around children. But this is when things got turned the fuck upside down. Now, it's vitally important to realize that also in this period of time, that a lot of things that were of that era, and a lot of teachings, and a lot of the knowledge that was actually disseminated amongst a certain class of people was totally convoluted and totally twisted for a specific agenda. See, this is where the hijacking came in. So it's rightfully to say that, these beasts came in with the intent to steal, kill, and destroy. Now, with the specific intent of not realizing that they had no culture. See, the thing that a lot of people don't understand when it comes to what I say on my channel, a lot of people boil it down to race. No. See, that's called that shallow-minded concept that you're not really listening to what I'm saying in a historical context. You're listening to what I'm saying based upon a color. This is not a Crayola box. What I'm saying is culture. That is the most primarily important part of any people who actually exist upon the face of this earth. It's about the culture. And I stress and emphasize on my channel that these people that I just described in these paragraphs, and they described as well in their works, that these people didn't have one. See, they had to join into leagues for protection against the outsiders and to actually go forth and provide the aggression, which is the motivating force. So not only was the legacy stolen from ancient Chem, it was methodically planned out. It's no accident. See, a lot of people are afraid to say these things on these channels because they're afraid to lose their little coins for monetization and all of that. I don't pay that no mind. I don't pay that stuff no mind. People want to demonetize channels, so what? I don't care. Because when you give people a care, guess what? They're going to act upon it. Here's what it is. But money doesn't control me. As my father told me growing up, my father told me straight, once you take money from someone, they owe you. And people find that hard to believe. That's one of the reasons why a lot of these channels on certain social media networks, not just YouTube, Facebook, you name it, that trashy ass spot, but Instagram, all of that, they are very tiptoeish and sugarcoating a lot of things that they should be saying. But the thing is, we don't have time to play with this. When you're going to teach something. And don't be worried about the God. Don't be afraid of the outcome. As long as you reach one and teach one, it is what it is. Higher spiritual elevation. And I say in street terms, stop being a little bitch. Anyway, let's roll. Greek philosophy was the offspring of the Egyptian mystery system. Whoa, hey, this gets deep. Let's roll. The Egyptian theory of salvation became the purpose of Greek philosophy. Now, I ain't gonna go too far on this. This is a very long read, and I don't mind. I got time, so I will break this up into segments. But I want to expound upon this because I know that this is very important for a lot of people to really come to a recognition of. But I'm gonna go ahead and read this first. The earliest theory of salvation is the Egyptian theory, which is ancient Chem. The Egyptian mystery system had at its most important object the deification of man and taught that the soul of man, if liberated from his bodily fetters, could enable him to become godlike and see the gods in his life and attain the beatific vision and hold communion with the immortals. Ancient Mysteries, C.H. Vail, page 25. Platonius defines the experience as the liberation of the mind from its finite consciousness, when it becomes one and is identified with the infinite. The liberation was not only freedom from the soul bodily impediments, but also from the wheel of reincarnation and rebirth. It involved a process of disciplines of purification, both of the body and the soul. Since the mystery system offered the salvation of the soul, it also placed great emphasis upon its immortality. The Egyptian mystery system, like the modern university, was the center of organized culture, and candidates enter it as the leading source of ancient culture. Not race, people. Culture. So when we get caught up in these fucking petty ass arguments on social media, it's not about race. It's about culture. See, we can argue race all day. We can talk about what race. All of that was eugenicists from the early 18th century that was actually sitting here trying to convince people that someone was better than that. That's bullshit. Let's talk about the culture. See, the culture leaves the footprint of what actually preceded a particular people. Let's talk about the culture. See, people don't want to talk about that culture. They don't want to say that C word. Culture. That's what it is. Let's go further. According to Sightman, spelled with a P, the Egyptian mysteries had 3 grades of students. 1, the mortals. An example, probationary students who were being instructed but who had not experienced the inner vision, also known as the neophytes. 2, the intelligences. An example, who had obtained the inner vision and had received mind or nous or soul. And 3, the creators or sons of light, which are also known as the adepts, who had become identified with or united with the light. An example, true spiritual consciousness. When you're talking about that light switch that you got on your wall. W. Marsham Adams, in the Book of the Master, which I have, has described those grades as the equivalents of initiation, illumination, and perfection. For years, they underwent disciplinary and intellectual exercises and bodily asceticism, with intervals of tests and ordeals to determine their fitness to proceed the more serious, solemn, and awful process of the actual initiation. Their education consisted not only of the cultivation of the 10 virtues, which were made in the condition of eternal happiness, but of the 7 liberal arts, which were intended to liberate the soul. There was also admission to the greater mysteries, where an esoteric philosophy was grammar, rhetoric, and logic, were disciplines of moral nature by means of which the irrational tendencies of a human being were purged away. And he was trained to become a living witness of the divine word, also known as logos. Geometry and arithmetic were sciences of transcendental space. And numeration, the comprehension of which provided a key not only to the problems of one's being, but also to those physical ones, which are so baffling today, especially in this dummy culture we call America. Wow. Owing to our use of the inductive methods, astronomy dealt with the knowledge and distribution of latent forces, not predicting whether or not your bank account is going to get $1,000 tomorrow, and the destiny of individuals, races, and nations. Music, or harmony, which is harmony of the spheres, meant the living practice of philosophy, the adjustment of human life into the harmony with the Creator, which they say in the book God, but I call it different, until the personal soul became identified with God, when it would hear and participate in the music of the spheres. Wow. It was also therapeutic and was used by Egyptian priests in the cure of diseases. Such was the Egyptian theory of salvation, through which the individual was trained to become godlike while on earth, and at the same time qualified for everlasting happiness. This was accomplished through the efforts in the individual through the cultivation of arts and sciences on one hand, and a life of virtue on the other. Perfect balance. There was no mediator between man and his salvation, as we find in the Christian theory. Reference will again be made to these subjects as part of the curriculum of the Egyptian mystery system. Now that we have outlined the Egyptian theory of salvation as purpose, we will examine later on, people, Greek philosophy and its purpose in order to discover whether there is an agreement between the two systems or not. And you just learned a very significant truth in less than 15 minutes. Believe what you will, believe what you won't, people. Doesn't matter. There's nothing new under the sun. What has been done yesterday will be done again tomorrow. Trust me, because today was based on yesterday, and tomorrow will be based upon today. So for people who will have this dissonant idea that for some reason history doesn't matter, they've only been told by the trickster, who I call the supreme trickster, the deceiver, who is the individual who doesn't really want you to know. I'm not going to call it Satan and all shit like that, because that's going into doctrine and dogma of the church. But the deceiver is the one that doesn't want you to come to the realization of what you're really dealing with. That's what your real enemy is. It's not no invisible man with red horns hiding in your fucking closet at night. We're too old to believe in fairy tales, people. I checked my channel analytics. Most of the people that actually are subscribed to my channel, majority of them are men, and men of my age or even older. So there's no kids on this channel. Let's kill the superstitious notion of the bullshit and come to the realization that yes, your legacy has been stolen if you're melanated. Yes, people, I can say it on my channel. I have no problem saying it. It's a proven fucking fact. People who don't like it, we know who you work for. It is what it is. Fuck you. Period. But one thing that is published and has been totally suppressed in certain communities, in certain respects to certain things, I will tell you, yeah, it's a lot of stuff they don't want you to read. You know, this man wrote a book, you know what I'm saying? He was murdered. Fucking J.K. Rowling could give you fucking Harry Potter, and this bitch makes billions of dollars. What is it all for? Well, you really have to ask yourself that question, because my intention is to keep you asleep if I don't want you to know the truth. And that's me being deceitful. But if I want to enlighten you and I'm actually here telling you something, then I'm a threat, because the lie obviously is what has to be the operating mechanism of the reality in which you live. You might not want to hear that, but it's fine. Your brain probably clogged up from all that high fructose corn syrup you're drinking. Probably is. You know? Denial is a hell of a drug. And many people in this continent we call America are hooked on it. You know? Straight up. It is what it is. You better understand and overstand and understand and ultrastand all of the stands that you can to come to the cognizance of what you're really dealing with. If you don't, your future is doomed. Period. People like, well, are you afraid? Fuck, I don't live in fear. People? No, and you shouldn't either. Again, as I say in my previous videos, fear paralyzes the initiative. It really does. If indeed you're fearful, these videos aren't for you. Or anything of the ilk isn't for you. Anything of it. I don't care if it's on someone else. It's not for you. Being blunt, you're around kids, cover their ears. This path is not for punk bitches. Period. It's not for cowards. It's not for individuals who are passive. It's for assertive people. So you have to realize the assertiveness when it comes to certain things, because if you're not assertive, you know, with certain respects to what you deal with in your personal life, then you have to realize that another force will be assertive over you. You better realize it. So you better start learning some assertiveness. I don't give a fuck if you have to practice it in the mirror. But if you wish to stay asleep, I won't wake you. You know? Just like someone tells you, hey man, wake me up. I got a job interview, such and such. Got somewhere important to be. You wake them up. They don't want to wake up. Fuck them. Let them sleep. Because guess what? I had to be awoke to realize that you were asleep. First time viewing this video, like and subscribe. You don't like what I have to say on my channel? Unsubscribe. If you are. If you don't like it, it is what it is. Because the heat only goes gradually up. See, I can't blast the flamethrower at one time. First off, it's too creatively exhausting to do. And secondly, too much truth will make a motherfucker crazy. Too much truth will drive a person insane. Because once they realize that they've been screwed, It throws them in a state of mental anarchy. You know, straight. They go haywire. The wires get to popping in that brain. Then there's a lot of people who really don't even want to really come to a cognize a certain thing. It's perfectly fine. It's your business. It's your life. Your creator gave you that ability to do that because guess what? Everyone has what's called will. Because guess what? You use your will, it's going to cost you. No such thing as free. That's a doctrine of the church, convincing you that you can do whatever the fuck you want with no consent or reprisal. That's just to alleviate their conscience. You better realize you have a will, and you better use it for the better purpose and not the worst one. Straight. Most viewers and subscribers on these channels will bust their ass to get to McDonald's, but won't crack a book. Oh yeah, I'll leave off on this note before I cancel my transmission. Stay away from complaining people in your life. I don't care who they are. I don't even give a damn if she on mama. Complaining people are people who fail to act and only deal with the result of their own inaction. That's what a complainer is. Stay away from them. Y'all do what you got to do in y'all personal life. Y'all stay safe out there. Peace. Stay tuned for the next upload. And agents, fuck you. Straight. Don't contact me. I won't respond. It is what it is. It is what it is. You might not like it, but I keep myself straight and safe. Y'all take care. Peace, light, love.